On episode 32 of Chit Chat, we prepare to move into a new year of gaming. We didn't keep all of our 2018 resolutions, but we had a great time along the way. Can the games of 2019 measure up? I guess we'll just have to see. Welcome back to episode 32 of Chit Chat. This is our first episode of 2019, and you may know what that means. It means we're going to talk a little bit about 2018 and our New Year's resolutions, kind of, for board games this year, and maybe a little bit about how we totally botched and missed our resolutions from last year.
Yeah, and before we get into that, we're going to talk about the winner from the last Chit Chat. This is for the founders of Gloomhaven from Isaac Childress and Cephalofair Games. That's going to go to Joshua Thomas. Good luck learning this game. 18 different resources. I don't think there's another game that has that many different types of resources, but have fun with that one. And then we also are giving away the climber, so make sure you just make a comment below, and you're going to be entered to win.
Yep. So, this is going to be kind of a loose episode because we're going to talk about all sorts of things from 2018. This is obviously not our top 10. We're going to talk about game experiences, maybe convention experiences, I don't know, babies and stuff like that, maybe, Ryan?
Yeah, life experiences. It's probably like that's a big deal. We had a baby this year.
Why don't you
actually
start with
born December 5th, so just about a month old at this point. So it's kind of weird right now because like it feels both like it's only been a month, but like it feels like
You got him playing board games?
right. We do have him. I do have him playing board games.
What's his name, Ryan?
His name is Oliver, and he is healthy and happy and sleeping and
It's exciting. Now you
Doing
have to
baby
schedule-
stuff?
Yeah, doing baby stuff. Now you have to schedule everything around your
doing baby stuff. Yeah, for the most part. I mean,
He just takes his baby to all those things.
right. I mean, why not?
Don't be that guy.
No, like luckily my wife's job is very flexible and she has her maternity leave and she's able to take time off when she needs it and things like that. So we've been pretty lucky as far as having a baby goes, where we didn't have to both rush off to just traditional jobs like the next day or a couple days after that. So
Just be warned, if you live in the Indianapolis area and you want to go to a movie at 11 a.m., don't go to the theater that Ryan
I'm not
wants to go
starting
to.
this debate. I'm just saying
There might be a baby.
there
and
might be kids
You're
at the
calling
first
him
showing
Ollie,
of the day.
right? You're calling him Ollie?
Yeah, I mean, Ollie's a
I
kind
vote
of
for
a-
liver because it's completely
That's never going to
I
happen.
like that.
Ooh.
Liver.
Like liver.
Liver.
I'm going to call him liver forever.
Stopping that right now.
Well, I don't know where we're going to go from here, but I'm going to talk about resolutions from last year. We actually, looking back at, I don't remember what Chit Chat episode, I think it was episode 9 or 10, we talked about resolutions that we made last year. And it was just you and I because we had Gary on the show.
Yeah, I was
You
on
guys
vacation
weren't
that-
on the show, but we're
No, I
talking
was
about...
on
wasn't?
vacation that
No,
week.
it was
Oh,
just
he
us.
was.
And
I
we were
was on
talk-
vacation.
Yeah, we were talking about things that we wanted to try to attempt to do for 2018. I want to talk about a couple of those things.
That you
And then
did?
we'll also recap
Oh.
2018 in general. But one of the things that I had mentioned in there is that I wanted to play through my entire collection of games. And I really started the year out hot.
I remember.
And I was on pace
We
to
did
do
a
it.
lot of those older games.
You were checking them off right off the shelf.
I was checking them off. I got to about 75% of the games that I currently own. So I didn't make it all the way through it, and I still feel like there's a lot of games I need to go back and play, because right now I have all of us have so many games on our shelves. Games that are still shrink wrap, games we haven't played, things we need to call, things we don't want to call because we haven't played them yet. So I need to go back through there and make sure that those are the games I truly want to keep, because the pace of new releases, especially this last year, has been astronomical. We can't keep up with all the new content.
No, there's no time to go back and play old games when so many new games to play. Like it's
I know.
very difficult to walk that balance.
I know.
Yeah, although I did play a lot of old games this year. I didn't have a goal like that, but in 2018, I did go back and find myself playing some older games. I mean, I told you guys I'd played Castles of Burgundy a few times this year, just out of the blue. And then once you play an old game like that, you oftentimes remember, oh, I forgot how good this was. And then you maybe play it a couple more times. So that's Jeremy's failure.
One of many.
75% still failure.
Yeah.
My big failure, in fact, the only one I remember of mine last year is I was tried to be committed for, I think, the length of that episode anyway, to trying a new, bigger, heavier game like a Twilight Imperium or like a Rebellion. I think Rebellion is the one I kind of said, that might be my target. I didn't play Rebellion. I didn't play Twilight Imperium.
You did play Eclipse, though.
Oh,
I
you
did play Eclipse. I did
Because you
play
had
Eclipse.
to.
I kind of had to play Eclipse, but not that Eclipse is bad. But it is something we
Not
did
your
in
wheelhouse
round one.
normally,
Yeah.
right?
No.
Like
But Eclipse would qualify, I think, to some degree. Although it's not really the heaviest of games.
no,
It's pretty heavy, though.
medium,
it's a lighter,
medium to heavy.
Yeah, it's medium to heavy.
It's a 4X
Medium.
game,
It
which
is a
falls
4X
outside
game.
of your normal
Okay,
type
so
of
I
games.
changed my mind.
You did it.
Resolution
You did it.
complete.
Good job.
Ching. Cha-ching.
I didn't really make. I had some resolutions that I wanted to do. I wanted to
Have a baby?
have a baby. We knew that was coming, so
Check.
that's great. I wanted to kind of transition out of my day job and doing more of like Men vs. Meeple stuff and more role playing stuff. So we had that happened, and I got my Kickstarter run this year, and my book is coming out
Yes, congratulations.
sometime in the next month or so. So
Got your Man vs. Meeple degree.
I got my I did get my Man vs. Meeple
He's
degree.
role playing as a Man vs. Meeple
I
contributor.
did. I went to the David ran a 6-week program, Man vs. Meeple University.
Yep.
I thought
We
that
just
was
played
was a little-
feld games.
I thought
the
that
whole
was a
time.
different program.
But yeah, no, 2018 I think was a pretty good year in general. I mean, we had some great experiences this year. We got to see a bunch of great new games. We got to have a bunch of great meetings. There's some stuff that we can't talk about yet that we got to experience and see that's coming next year.
You know, that's a good point. Man vs. Meeple did kind of come into its own in a lot of different ways than we hadn't to date. I mean, we have a lot more contributors. You guys are here. We've got Ella on board also doing some stuff, which is things that we wanted to do from the very beginning. And we finally made some of that happen last year. And like you just touched on, Man vs. Meeple as a brand, I mean, early on a couple years ago when we started, we'd go to a convention. And I mean, Jeremy had people know him from back in the day when he did Drakkenstrike stuff. But it was hard getting meetings. And it was nice going to conventions and being able to get a sneak peek at some stuff that no one else is getting to see. Not to rub it in anyone's faces, but that's
Yeah, it's
fun.
cool.
That
It's
is a
been a weird
huge
experience
perk.
because I remember when you guys first started and we would play games together, it was like, well, who's interested in doing things for Man vs. Meeple? People just say, what? Like,
Yeah.
what are you even talking about? Now people are coming to us saying like, oh, we want you to cover
Yeah,
this or
it's
we want
very
you
cool.
to see this. So that's been kind of humbling and interesting.
What about your 2018?
Oh, it was a crazy 2018 for sure. I was working with a publisher called Colossal Games as CEO, and that was really awesome. We did a lot of Kickstarters, put out a lot of really great games. We worked on Eclipse,
Yep.
Western Legends, which was a huge hit, ended up on South Park, which was really, really cool.
That's
That is-
crazy.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is a
That's
pretty
awesome.
awesome
It was
moment.
incredibly
That's
cool.
super crazy.
Really fun working with those teams and with the team at Colossal and Maple Games as well with Daryl and then with Travis. And there was a good transition point, and so I actually went and started my own business, doing some marketing consulting, doing more stuff with you guys. Still keeping in touch with them and watching their progress and success, and they're getting ready to. They just actually announced a expansion for Western Legends, which was really cool. I played a lot more games this year.
You did.
Or in last year than I have probably ever played. And part of that, I think, too, was conventions. So I'm used to always working at a convention, and then I just go home or go back
that's
to the
right.
hotel.
You didn't have to work as much.
I did, but I actually took the time to stay up and out and play games. And so I think that was really fun. Just really diving in a little bit more and being more involved in the community was good for me.
Honestly, that's like the highlight of conventions for me anyway. Like when I look back at my memories of conventions, I never remember the convention, but hanging out with people afterwards, playing board games with people, playing Time's Up and Strike, like those are the memories that
For
carry
sure.
over.
And that's what I think that's what it's become for a lot of people in sort of the content creation scene is everyone always says this, but it's like our chance, like it's summer camp, like we're all back
Right.
together again and we get to see people like Rodney and and when we're apart, we kind of lose touch. I mean, we call them or we're on Facebook together every once in a while, but you get this opportunity for like 3 to 4 days to hang out at night, get a game in even with some of these people. It's a lot of fun.
Well, that's great too because the distance and time didn't really matter in between, right? You just pick up where you left off with all your friends from last time. It's like, oh, didn't we? What did we miss? What did we not get around to? And you catch up, but it's nice to see everybody in person, even though we all see each other online. So I think that's great too.
Speaking of past resolutions, I want to touch on a couple others before we get into resolutions of 2019. There's two other things I promised myself. One was to record games, and I did a really good job
For a
from
while.
January till March, and then I just fell off the bandwagon completely. I don't know if I'm going to do that this year. I really don't. I mean,
I'm going
it's-
to keep doing it.
I know you do it
You're
religiously.
religious.
You
I
do
am.
it pretty religiously, and I think you maybe
I did
may
it
want to try it.
slightly worse than you last year. I dropped off in February.
I see the point of doing it, and I really would like to try it because I think it's kind of cool to look back and get a
I mean,
total number.
that's exactly what it is for me.
But at the end of the day, I mean, it's just one more thing to do on
a
top
lot
of
of
everything
I just
else that we do.
forget.
I
It
forget
depends on
too.
the game.
That's really
All the
all it
time.
is for me.
It's
Is like
such a
just
I've
forget.
been doing it for 2
The
years
game,
now.
too.
Totally depends on the game. There are certain
Yeah.
games, like I've never tracked a single play of Arkham Horror LCG.
that's true.
It's just I just can't even really
I don't
wrap
track
my head
like
around
tedious
Magic.
at that
I don't
point.
track
Tedious.
my Keyforge games and things like
Yeah.
that.
But and then anything that you're pumping through quickly, I tend to not track those. So Time's Up.
Like
or-
Werewolf. I
yeah,
don't like
Werewolf, any of
Werewords.
That's
Because we
fair.
play like 10 games of
That's
Werewords
fair.
in a row.
Maybe you just put it in, and then at the end of the year, just
Don't
estimate
mess
how
with
many
Cthulhu.
times.
How many times we played Don't Mess with Cthulhu? I've never
I
logged a
don't
single
really
one
record
of those.
Zero in
Yeah.
2019.
Yeah.
I can tell you that for a fact.
And the other thing I want to talk about is story-based games. You guys know me. I am a hardcore Euro gamer. And I really made a point this year to really go back and really try all those story games that I've not played all the way through, near and far, my collection of Seventh Continent, all those different things. And I've done a really good job this year of playing it. Things like Time Stories, which I never enjoyed.
I would say you
Never
turned
enjoyed.
like 180 degrees. Like, honestly, you seem more excited when a new narrative game comes up on the radar than most other games, almost.
It's starting to feel that way. And I mean, the moment I played, there's a new game called, what's it called? Tainted Grail.
Tainted Grail,
Yeah.
yeah.
From Awakened Realms. And I think I'm
looks
the only
so
person
cool.
that played that. And I was probably a little stingy with it because I really enjoy those style games. I knew you could play it solo, but I like their games in general. And the moment I got it in, I opened it up and started playing it and fell in love with
Well, I
it.
imagine that we'll play that when it comes out. Probably play for the
I-
whole campaign.
Yeah, I would like
I would
to try.
hope so.
I would definitely like to try that one. Sounds really, really good. And as a matter of fact, I can't remember the name of it, but Ryan Lockett just announced another new game that's going to be either coming out this year
yeah.
or maybe hitting Kickstarter. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
that
that's like
is
a narrative one.
huge narrative game. I can't remember the name of it, but I was just reading about it this morning.
So I apologize to all of you publishers and all you gamers out there when I tell you that stay away from story-based games. I was wrong. I'm admitting it
Wait a
here.
minute. Wait a minute. Record this time in history.
Where's the big buzzer?
I was wrong. I really, really like them. So there you go.
You did fail at another resolution though,
What?
because you said we needed to get caught up on Time Stories before the end of the year.
But we played
never
half
did
of
do it.
them.
We did
played
play
through half of them.
yeah.
So that's
We got some cool
that's
new
a start.
components to play with.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're gonna
will s-
pick it back up.
That's an interesting point. This is kind of a sidetrack, but like games like that, they're always easy to get hooked into, and you're like, oh, God. And then there's all that episodic content.
Yep.
It's almost just as easy to potentially
Fall out
fall
of
off
it.
that wagon
Oh,
because
yeah.
like you've got these 7 things that you
Right.
and for whatever reason, maybe a couple new games come in and we get
Yep.
those and you get sidetracked, and then it's hard to get back to those sometimes.
That happens to me with a lot of games that have a lot of expansions. It happened to me with Android, any kind of thing like that. Like, I'll do really well at collecting them or playing them, and then I look back, I'm like, I've missed the last 2 sets now, and then it's just hard to get back
Well,
into
especially something like that since it's
The game's
competitive.
got to, I mean, definitely the game's got to be special. Betrayal Legacy was one of those games
Yeah.
that we
Well, you
played
guys
from.
plowed
it.
through.
We
Yeah,
couldn't
beginning
stop
to
playing
end.
Betrayal. Like, if you watch the top 10 list, spoiler, but it was very high on our list.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like,
It was my top experience of last
this year.
yeah.
Of the 2018 period of all my gaming experiences is definitely my top one.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I mean, not necessarily our best game, but does anyone have an experience that doesn't sort of, well, your guys' experience probably does match up with your,
You know what? One of the actually,
one.
like when we're talking gaming experiences of the year, actually one of my favorite gaming experiences when we played Detective together, and Detective is fun and interesting. But we got to this. There was this particular moment that I'm sure you remember where we got to this one case that just like
Case
blew
3.
the doors off. Case 3
3.
changed everything. Now the
That was
game
definitely
itself didn't make it onto my top 10, but that moment playing that case just felt super cool.
It was
Like,
intense.
agree.
It was
Yeah.
very
It's
Yeah.
very different too.
very different, like not unlike anything I'd ever experienced before.
you got a moment
A moment
or a game?
Betrayal, it sticks out in my mind as the moment where
Like the
I knew
experience.
the moment I played that game, I knew it was going to be my number one game. It's not a secret anymore. My number one game this year. But there's a variety of other games that also kind of hit that mark. Rising Sun, which came very early in the year, so it's kind of easy to forget that. But the moment I played Rising Sun too, I'm thinking to myself, Blood Rage is really high on a lot of people's lists, but I like Rising Sun more for a variety of different reasons. Mostly because the combat was so unique in that game and the way that they handled it. And the production value in that game, even still a year removed from when we first played that game, it's still a very beautiful game to play, and it still plays silky smooth once you learn how to play through the game.
Yeah, that is a good, and not to backtrack, but that would be probably another heavier game that I played quite a bit this year that would not typically be in my wheelhouse.
right.
My moment, and I've mentioned this before, was a moment the three of us had when we were playing Cryptid for the first time.
Oh yeah, that was-
Because Cryptid is one of my favorite games of the year, but also that first time we played it, we'd kind of breezed through the rules. We weren't certain that it was, I think all three of us were thinking that there could be a few spots that would
Right.
work for us. But when we realized after our first play that it is just one spot and you kind of appreciate all the design and math that went into the design of figuring that out, That was a cool moment.
was a really
Because I
cool
remember
moment.
just thinking, oh my God. And I immediately wanted to play it again.
Yeah.
There's not a ton of games that I immediately wanted to play again this year. And Cryptid is one of them. And I just played it again last night. And a really, really good game.
What about you?
There's two that stick out in my mind, and both of them are games I came in second. I was like excited to come in second. So one of them was a smartphone, and that was because the second time we played, you were gonna win. You always win those kind of games, but I beat the person who beat me the last time I played, who
Nice.
had only beat me by 2 points. So that was a big deal. And Smartphone's just an incredible game, but really it's the Estates. So we were at Grand Con.
Oh God.
I knew.
Did you win?
No, Ryan did.
No,
But if
She
you played the
annoyed me the
Estates,
entire time.
yeah, I came in second without ever getting a single property in that game.
That's the beauty of that game.
so
I've played where someone won without getting a property.
Yeah.
I won with one property, but I think Kira won
No,
by making Jeremy lose so badly.
I came in second by doing that.
Right, but
yes,
in your heart, you
that was
won.
exactly why I won. And I'll tell you,
That's a win.
I'll tell you what, it was so funny though, is just that Clay sat there and he was explaining the game to us. They wanted to see a 5-player, and a couple of the guys that worked there wanted to play with you guys. And he's sitting there explaining that you don't, and I'm learning the game for the first time, and he's explaining how you can embezzle money and all this stuff. And he even hinted that you might be able to win by not doing too much. I was like, I'm going to see how that works. I had no idea how bad I was going to impact you, but it was super satisfying. And it was really, really fun.
Yeah, that's cool. I saw one person do that when I played the Estates with family, and it was a guy who's not even a real big board gamer, but he likes those mind games of like poker and things like that.
Yeah.
And
You
he
had a
just
negative
sat
score,
back
right?
and he didn't go after any property. He just sat back and did that. Put is it $1 million under his board every single round, and then he had so much money when he put stuff up for auction that he just behaved as kind of like what felt like the bank.
Also, if you
for
don't own a
everyone else.
property, you can't get negative points at the end of the game. So
Yeah, I just made
Right,
sure that, like, I affected
point.
other people's properties, and I mean, you ended up
Yeah.
with what, like negative
Oh,
18
negative. I
points or
definitely was
something
in the
ridiculous.
negative.
That was
Yeah, it was just-
fantastic.
It's kind of fun just to watch the whole thing burn.
It was so good.
all right.
So what about resolutions for
So
2000?
I've got one, and this resolution is specifically inspired by you, but also for Jeremy Howard, who may or may not be watching.
Oh, Jeremy.
I want to play Mage Knight again. I want to
Oh, boy.
That was my one game that was
You're
like
reading the rules.
that I hated, and they just came out with a
teaching.
new.
I've read those rules.
They just came out with a new edition. I saw of it, like a
Big box, right?
big box thing for that. And I want to give it a fair chance because I think when I've played it, it wasn't taught correctly. It was like just everything that could have gone wrong. I want to approach it again, kind of from a fresh perspective, and see how I feel about it now.
Well,
Because I know Jeremy swears up and down that it's one of the best games ever made.
a lot of people do.
Jeremy Howard, not
Jeremy
not
Howard.
me,
Jeremy Howard, right.
Yeah.
Mage Knight is way up on the top games
Yeah,
list,
I
right?
think
Isn't
it's
it in the
top 10
top
still, or
It's in the
top
top
20?
Yeah.
So I think and it seems on paper like a game I would really like.
Mm-hmm.
I think I just missed a lot of the pieces that made it come together. So I want to give it another try this year.
I'd be up for trying that with you too. That was one of the first big enthusiast board games I had that was certainly heavy. And I don't even know why I bought it because I didn't have anyone who would play a game like that with me. I hate to admit this, I sat down with my then 8 and 9-year-old son or something like that. My oldest was 8 or 9. My younger was younger. And we went through, there's like a tutorial mode where like there's a rule book and then there's a book for like a rule book to the rule book in that
Oh my
game.
gosh.
Seriously. And we tried to get through that and barely got through that. But there's a ton of really fascinating mechanics in that game. It is a lot going on though. But yeah, I'm there with you.
Do you have anything for 2019?
Just expand. I've found that there's been a lot of times, like you had your board game thing after Christmas, and the constant joke was, "Have you played?" And the
Right,
answer is always
Seven
no.
Wonders,
I
Concordia.
haven't played. I have not played a lot of the games
some
that you
older
guys
ones?
have played. So I'd really like to get in.
Yeah, I think
some
that's
more
the
of
thing
those.
with people that came into the hobby in the last couple of years or so is like,
There's just too much new stuff.
right, there's too much new stuff to really go back and play the old stuff. But the old stuff is still really good. Like Seven
absolutely.
Wonders is still worth
Oh yeah,
playing.
really enjoyed
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, speaking of Seven Wonders, that Armada really changes the game quite a bit.
Yeah.
Makes it way more gamier.
Yeah.
Yeah. Resolution for me, I mean, aside from doing the same thing I suggested last year, is playing a heavier game. I think I'm just going to try to continue to be more open-minded to try anything. Like last year, I was probably the most open-minded of us in terms of trying Keyforge.
Sure.
And that's not the kind of thing I would typically want to get into. But I have had fun playing it every time. And when I open myself up to playing something that I don't think I would typically like, and then I am pleasantly surprised, that's a really good feeling. The same thing happened with Nemesis. We got a copy of Nemesis, and that's not typically the kind of game, not necessarily that I want to play, that's not typically the kind of game I want to read through the rules and understand everything. And there's a lot you have to keep track of a lot, and you have to be able to manage that game if you're running it, right? And I did that with my other gaming group, a couple of buddies of mine, and we had a lot of fun with it, and we'll probably play a little bit more of that. So I'll probably just try to do a little bit more of that.
2 things I want to do this year. Number one, there's so many good older games, as you just mentioned, and so I want to get to the table a lot of those older games. Kanban being one of those, and for you guys that haven't played those games or games that have been released in the past, I'd like to see you guys try all those.
I haven't played Kanban.
And that's the other thing.
I think I mentioned it the other day. I would like you to teach me Kanban.
And I really want to be conscious of myself this year to make sure that I concentrate personally on being 100% honest about the way I feel about a game, whether that be good or bad. And a lot of times we hide the fact that we try to find, all of us do, we try to find the best we can in a game. And I really want to be brutally honest with things if I don't like them.
Yeah, I think that's a hard habit to get out of, because there's a saying, and it's true, that like every game is either someone's favorite game and it was someone's baby. Like, so it's hard. Like your natural instinct is like to only look at the good, but like we have to be with the number of games coming out now. So you have to be more critical. Like it takes. You can't be good anymore. You have to be great to stand out.
And that's one of the things we tried to take heart. Last year, we had one of Jeremy's resolutions was to take a look at our review format, and we didn't evolve it significantly, but we have, if you've noticed in our review, started the pros and the cons. And so it forces us to make sure and at least shine a little bit of a light on the cons, even if it's a game we love, right? Because there's always going to be a couple things that we should point out, like, if you like this, you might not like this, or this could be a little bit better. The trick there is doing that in such a way so that even if we love the game, that we make sure everyone remembers we love this game, but you might want to look out for these 2 things.
And speaking of that, we do have new programming to look forward to in 2019 as well.
Yep.
We just started MVM Live, where Kira and I are hosting, which is doing like live playthroughs of games once a week. And I know we have some other new content. I don't know if you're ready to talk about or not.
Oh, for sure. I mean, we're going to be experimenting with a lot of stuff. Last year, you might have seen, we did about 3 episodes of Player versus Player, which is sort of our board game trivia game show. We want to do more of that this year. It's a trick in terms of getting different people and personalities here on set. But we're probably going to try to find a crop of people here locally that we can introduce you guys to, and maybe you can get used to them that way. And then also, when we have the opportunity to have guests in town, particularly during Gen Con, get as many of those people here on set and film a lot of those episodes and get those up. Don't know what our goal is. Hopefully try to get one of those up at least once a month.
And then with MVM Live, we're looking at every Wednesday at noon, so make sure you guys go to our YouTube channel and tune into these 2, and I'm sure David and I will stop in to play some games from
every couple episodes.
From time to time.
If they let us go on there, we will.
Yeah, we're going to open up the offsite betting so you can place your bets.
I like that.
Quick trip around the chairs for games we've been playing, starting with you.
Well, I opened the new year by playing a 7-player game of Caverna, which
at 3 in the morning.
Started at the new year and ended about 7 a.m.
You are crazy. Was Oliver there?
It was a great it was a great experience playing it at 7-player. And also, we've been playing Gen 7, which the game is good, the narrative is great, and I think you put those 2 things together, and it's a really unique experience. We're not done with it yet. It just came out at the very end of the year, right before the holidays. So we have a couple more scenarios to go, but the scenario book is huge, and the amount of branching possible storylines that you can go through makes it seem like the game is going to be drastically different every time we play.
We're hoping so. Jury's still out on the final.
We have to get through a couple more missions.
3 of 7 right now.
It's been interesting so far, for sure.
I'll talk about one game, Concordia Venus. We played this at the last game of our game day. We had one right during the holidays. 6-player. Venus is different because it takes that game and it puts it into teams. So we started this game around 9 o'clock at night, very late at night. Everyone was a little bit worried because of the way that...
How long did it go?
About 2
hour
hours,
and a half,
right?
2 hours.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I had never played
Right, she had never
before.
played. And we were all worried about, like, is it going to be good? Does it really take teams and make it special? Does it do anything different? And suffice to say, we all loved it. I don't think anyone at the table didn't like it.
It was incredible.
Crazy, weird experience because you don't get to talk to your partner Like that's like you don't get to
do, but you
can't strategize with them. You
Yeah.
can't say, well, I'm going to go here to build if you want to come over here to build so that we can get some bonus or whatever.
Right.
Like you can't coordinate. So when you do an action, you have to hope that your partner is kind of seeing what you're doing and understanding what you want them to do and trying to build on that. Sometimes they just go in a completely different direction. You're like, well,
What's really cool too is we almost played the game wrong at the start. If you guys are familiar with Concordia, everyone gets the same set of cards, and you're using those cards and you're building them in front of you, and then you play a card to get them all back. However, right before we started playing, we realized that some people on your team only start with certain cards,
Oh, yeah,
and the other
that
player only
was
starts with
great.
certain
Like-
cards, which made the game even more interesting for us when
Yeah,
we
it
were
was
playing
really
it.
cool.
So
really, really cool.
Concordia Venus.
Yeah, I wasn't there, so I didn't play it. So I need to give that one
I'll do it again.
a try for
Yeah,
sure.
as soon as possible.
So my plays, two really quick ones. We played Beta Colony. I've played it a couple times, and also New Frontiers, both from Rio Grande. Really, New Frontiers is kind of another take on the Race for the Galaxy, but this is sort of the board game format. It's a lot more deterministic than the other games because a lot of the information is right there out on the table. So definitely give that a try. I want to give it a little more try. I've tried it 2-player and then 4-player today. But the big thing that I've been playing is Vindication. This was on my top 10 list, as you may know. But this, every so often a game comes along and I just want to consume everything about it. So like, I don't usually pore over all of the BGG forums, but I am with this. There's a lot of people, as they're getting games of this in, feel this strategy's strong or this strategy might be overpowered. And I've talked to the designers a lot, and they have a counterpoint to a lot of those things. So it's been fun to play it and dissect it and try to learn those new strategies wherever possible, because there's a ton of different cards in this thing. And as you pour through the cards after you play, you're like, oh, next time I want to try to get this card or that card. It's really, really good game and awesome presentation. Cool. So.
Yeah, for me, it's been, I mean, gosh, we've been playing a lot of Dice Throne, and that is not because of just the live stream, which was the one we just recorded, that's up on the channel now, which was a lot of fun, I think. We're going to have a rematch.
yeah.
We win.
Well,
We'll
no, you gotta
leave
watch
people
the
to see.
show.
We'll leave people to see.
You gotta watch
we
it.
did.
I
We
just
definitely
ruined it.
played.
Oh, well.
We played through 2 characters. What?
I said I just ruined it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's
Well,
fine.
we both won.
Yeah, we're gonna have to
We
have a
have to get a
rematch. for
tiebreaker.
sure.
Everyone wins when you play board games.
Yes, that's for sure. So I probably played that game more than any other game this year, just
Really?
because how quick it is and how many characters there are, and you just switch through and you're kind of like, okay, well, I'm gonna try this character. I'm gonna try this character. The other game that I introduced my husband to, I picked up for Christmas to take to family, was Gizmos. I was like convinced that he would like it, and he was a little unsure about it, and then got it in front of him, and he's like, oh yeah, let's play it again. So that was good. So we played that a couple times now as well.
That's a great little engine builder. Like just
Yeah, I
just
love it.
perfect little engine builder.
So-
oh, yeah.
Right, I just want to
can't
see
wait
2019. I want to see more things come out like Dice Throne, more of those upgraded collectors, like
Oh,
presentations.
I think it's I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying that there's definitely a formula for success there with Dice Throne. They've made the game modular, which means it's
Yeah.
infinitely expandable,
Yep.
much like Villainous too. Like that game may not be as great as what we're saying Dice Throne is, but still, that game is infinitely expandable too.
yeah.
They add more villains that people are going to
Oh,
buy
man,
into.
can you imagine if
Dice
Villainous
Throne
had
is-
packaging like Dice Throne though, where
Oh,
every
sure, it's
you
Dice
know.
Throne has cemented its position in board gaming for the
Oh,
time being.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh,
They
yeah.
could keep doing it, and it's a successful franchise. That's
Yes.
a huge flagship property for them
Yeah.
now,
I'm pretty
and they
sure-
deserve all the success with it.
My friend gaming group that my husband and I go play with, as soon as we got done playing through the characters, like, all right, I want more characters. I mean, you're
Yeah.
instantly ready for more. And
Yeah.
not that you're tired with the ones you have. You just you can see the expandability. Cool, I've got a samurai now. I want this. Now I want that. There's going to be a lot of really cool things to come, I'm sure.
Yeah, that the way they roll it out is very similar to like a lot of video games now, like Overwatch
Overwatch, yeah.
and League of Legends, where it's all character based. It's a brilliant that they
Yeah.
hit it well with the board game.
For sure.
cool.
So is that it?
That's
it.
No more
So-
resolutions, no more
No.
promises.
Nope.
I'm not making any more
All right.
promises.
Well, hopefully you guys will make a resolution to watch every single thing that we do on our channel this year.
right.
You check back in with us at the end of the year to let us know. But until then, thanks for watching. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. Check these guys out on the live stream every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. Yep.
Every Wednesday
at noon Eastern.
And we'll be showing what games come up on that beforehand, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
We'll do a
They'll be
teaser
announced,
before.
yeah.
We're definitely doing giveaways during those. And don't forget about your Instagram channel.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I never
Definitely
plug
gotta-
Instagram,
Gotta
but come
plug
on.
Instagram because David's on there all the time.
Get us anywhere you can get us, and we will check you guys out next time. Well, that's another episode of Chit Chat in the Bag. Thanks for watching. If you want to check out another one, there's probably one right over here in the bottom left-hand corner, or probably your right-hand corner. Whatever corner, we have something to click on. So click on one of these things and good things will happen.